research. I did my action research on increasing 4th grade math proficiency on iReady here at Oxford Elementary School. And the reason I did it on iReady is because iReady is a predictor of our ACAP performance. And we know that that is something that ultimately we look at to target students who are proficient and not proficient. So my statement of my problem is that we know COVID had some detrimental effects on our math proficiency. We were just above about 60% in math proficiency before COVID, and after COVID we took a hit, and you can see that even year 2021 we were only 26% proficient in 4th grade. We have gained 11% in a year, which is something to celebrate, but we have to make sure that we maintain that higher growth in our achievement to show that students are going to 5th grade ready. So we're sending less than half of our students to 5th grade non-proficient in math in 4th grade. You'll notice that I also included iReady, so 22% in 2021 and 30% in 2022. So that was an 8% increase. So we actually increased about 3% more on ACAP than we did in iReady. So we know that if our students are scoring proficient on iReady, they should score that same percentage on ACAP. Does anybody have any questions about that? Wonderings? I feel like we're all aware that we need to make sure that we are continuing our growth in 4th grade. All right, so my hypothesis is if we use, and this was what my action research was conducted on, student-centered instruction routines focused on the development of conceptual understanding, procedural fluency, and number sense, then we should see that growth in our 4th grade math proficiency. These are some of the definitions that I included that are in my action research. A lot of you are familiar with these. Some of the bigger things are the number sense and number talk, the conceptual understanding, and that student-centered instruction, which is what I did my action research on. So research suggests that all of those components can help us increase our math proficiency. Again, those are mathematical growth mindsets in students. They are number sense and being able to solve problems using conceptual understanding through that student-centered instruction. So that is really what I focused my literature reviews on. So the first thing that I focused it on was mathematical mindsets. And one of the researchers in my paper is Jo Boaler, and she says that if we have that change in teacher and student mathematical mindsets, it is proven that math achievement will increase. So that's one thing that I feel that we can do in our classrooms is change our mindset sometimes to math and also our students' mindsets. Within those mindsets, it's the teacher's job, very important, to communicate to our students that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to productive struggle. That's how we learn. That's how we're visual thinkers, creating those visual representations. So that growth mathematical mindset is one of the most important changes that we can make. The second component of my action research was developing that number sense. Number sense is really one of the bigger deficiencies in students that keeps them from being proficient in domains in math. Research states that if they are deficient, have any deficiency in number sense, it is like directly related to deficiencies in other domains. So that is one thing that we as teachers are going to have to strengthen in our students, and one way that research says that we can do that is by implementing number talks, which is just a quick exercise routine that builds number sense in students. It gives them collaborative opportunities to talk about number relationships, the variety of ways that numbers can be displayed or viewed, and it does not have students rely on procedural routines or rules. So that is why number talks can help students develop the number sense. And you'll notice at the very bottom of this piece, McLaughlin was another one that I included in my action research, and he states that building number sense is critical to future mathematical success. That was stated all throughout the action research. The last component in my literature review is based on student-centered instruction. And in that student-centered instruction, it talks about shifting from what should the teacher be doing to what experiences are we allowing our students to problem solve and collaborate with their classmates. So throughout student-centered instruction, the teacher can facilitate student learning. Students are having time to collaborate with their peers and build that conceptual understanding without relying on rules and procedures. They're able to share out their experiences. Through that time, you can encourage them and help them build that mathematical growth mindset. They're using their number sense to help them solve those challenging problems. It even talked about how effective teachers will even model good problem-solving practices in their students. It talks about how through their conversations together, they will develop the mathematical language that they need to express their mathematical thinking and create reasoning within themselves to become mathematical thinkers, essentially. Any comments? Any wonderings? I see a lot of head nods. It seems like you really feel strongly that these are some things that we could implement to increase our mathematical achievement.
The student-centered instruction is one of the main things too, because I tell my kids all the time, I may not put something down on your level enough for you to understand, but when you talk with another classmate, they may mention something and it clicks with them right away.
Right, and that's one of the pieces in here talked about how they can learn from each other, and their ideas will spark that mathematical idea that they might be missing. And they see it as, oh, I can learn from my peer. I'm not as nervous. I can take risks. I can develop that understanding with my peer and not be nervous to make mistakes. So, really quickly, I just want to share with you our action plan. My action plan that I developed. So, throughout next year, I would like to have some more professional development on number talks. That might be us just coming together to think, what are some things that we don't know about number talks that we can implement in our routines? What does a challenging task look like? How can I pose those in my classroom? What should that instructional routine look like? And then what are some instructional routines that are student-centered? Because there are a few out there. There are a few in my action research paper that you could choose from, but they essentially all follow the same routine. The students are exploring. You're facilitating their thinking. You're posing purposeful questions. You're having them share out their ideas. They're essentially the same, but through that problem-solving routine, they're building that conceptual understanding that is so important. Then after we have our professional development, I would love to do the follow-up professional learning communities because I feel like that's going to help support you guys and will also help me support myself in learning with y'all. So I would like to do that, those follow-ups. Of course, we'll have our fall, winter, spring data benchmarks for iReady, since that is what we're trying to increase, and we will set our goals. We will look at our initial data. We will come back together and we will monitor our goals and our students' progress towards those goals. And then, of course, in between fall, winter, and spring, we'll have those monthly data meetings to track student progress on your instructional cycles and the skills that you're teaching in your classroom to help us know how are they progressing towards those skills on iReady. That will help us predict if what we're doing is working. And I have a guideline here, but everything I just talked about is kind of just mapped out here. So right now I'm proposing my action research in hopes that we can work through next year to implement some of these things to grow our students, because we know that that is why we're here and that's what we ultimately want to do. Any comments? Or I love how you shared out about, what you're seeing in your classroom. Do you have any suggestions or concerns of implementing anything that we've kind of talked about today?
I would like for us as intervention teachers to maybe start doing number talks, just to bridge that correlation between what's going on in the classroom and what we're doing. And two, like the kids that we have are gonna be those kids that during those number talks, they're not gonna answer out and they're gonna sit back and listen to everybody else. But maybe in a smaller group where we're more on the equal playing field, it would be more beneficial for them to do that with us in a smaller group.
Right, and y'all could plan number talks that are more on their level that they need, that they might not be getting in the classroom. Because in the classroom, they're gonna get that number talk on that core standard, And you could plan number talks that are right where they need to be so that they could build those misconceptions that they have conceptually, so, I love that idea. And it's very quick, it's a 10 to 15 minute routine, really could be a 5 minute, so. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me today for my presentation. I look forward to working with you next school year to improve our math proficiency.